such individual is the director of Hub Point of Universal Basic Income, who is a campaigner for Sri Lanka. We have Talal Rafi with us in the studios to talk to us in more details about Universal Basic Income. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us.
Great to be here.
So it's a very interesting campaign.
Yes.
And could you tell us about it? What does it technically mean? Because when we say basic income,
yes,
people would technically believe it's their income.
Yeah, sure. So before I get to the definition of universal basic income, when you start talking about this, people think it is a fringe idea or something that belongs to fantasies. But this is not the case, because when you look at just north of our border in India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has spoken about a basic income in India. And just a few days ago, heading the opposition, Rahul Gandhi has spoken about it. And it's not even a new idea. So in 1969, US President Nixon wanted to pass universal basic income in the United States. And it passed the House of Representatives, and it got to the Senate, but it couldn't get passed because there was opposition from the Democrats, not because they were against UBI, but because they couldn't agree on a fixed amount. So then after that, it just got stalled there and it went off. So a lot of countries from Finland, Canada, Angola, Kenya, they have all experimented on it, and Switzerland even had a referendum on it. So getting back to what universal basic income is, so it is an unconditional and guaranteed sum paid to every citizen of the country, regardless of whether you are employed or unemployed, rich or poor.
Oh, pretty straightforward.
So is it,
Yes.
so let me just pipe in and ask,
Yeah.
is it to do with basically everybody gets a sum of money which they have designated to them to live on?
Yes, sure.
Why would we want to do that?
Two reasons. One is to fight extreme poverty. We live in a country where, though Sri Lanka is doing much better than compared to other regions surrounding us, countries, we still have 4% of the population that is below the national poverty line, according to the Asia Development Bank. So this can greatly help extreme poverty. So according to economists, they say UBI will get rid of extreme poverty, may not get rid of poverty on a whole scale, but extreme poverty can be wiped out. And getting back to artificial intelligence.
But just another question on it.
Yeah.
Will it hamper people from being productive? So for example,
I'll come to that.
yeah, for example, if you are unemployed and you're still getting a basic income, what is my motivation to go actually be productive and give something back?
Yeah. So first to get that, artificial intelligence is going to cost us like 800 million jobs, according to the McKinsey Global Institute. And though the World Economic Forum says 135 million jobs are going to be created, it's not enough to offset the amount of jobs lost. So 800 million jobs is like 1/5 of the global working population. So if you put that in Sri Lanka, it might take a bit longer to get here. It'll be like 1 million jobs lost. So there has to be something. So this is an idea put forward by big names like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates. They all endorsed this idea. And even in 2017 at the Nobel Economics Prize, most of the economists endorsed this idea. And as you said, will it make people not want to work? Not really. This is a notion that's put by many, saying that given a basic income, people are not going to work. I always tell them, Bill Gates has enough money for another 100 generations. That doesn't mean he has stopped working or not active.
But the motivational factors for different people would be different, right?
Yeah. But we have to talk about experiments and studies that have been done. For example, in Kenya, an experiment done showed that people actually worked more when you were given a basic income. And in Angola, in a village where a US NGO did it, it found that once UBI was implemented, the non-UBI income in that village rose by 29%. So it gave them more incentives to work.
Should it also be tied to the fact that you need to be employed in some capacity?
Yeah, of course. This doesn't say that you have, that's why we call it a basic income. It's not an income. It's not enough to get life by, but it's enough to keep you away from extreme poverty.
My question to you would be, okay, you're going to give someone a basic income.
Yeah.
Right? Should it not be tied to a job?
Of course. Not really.
But why would
why
would the rest of society want to collect a pool of money to be given to people who are not going to be producing back?
That is what I told you at the beginning. With AI rolling out, automations, machines taking over, there's going to be like nearly 500 million jobs going to be lost in the next 10 years. So we need a solution to this.
Should we not be spreading into different industries and avenues, especially for a country like Sri Lanka,
of course,
where
the World Economic Forum has done that. They have said that we will be spreading into but it's only going to produce like 135 million jobs. This is a study by the World Economic Forum. So it's still not. So this is an idea that has been propagated by Elon Musk and Zuckerberg, as this is a possible solution to the problem that's coming up.
So in Sri Lanka, when you have an economy which is yet to really boom, so we've got industries which we have not necessarily tapped into and the expertise have not been built in, right? Should we not be focusing our energy on building the expertise in those areas?
Yes, you can. But then these are going to be taking over lower jobs. Like, for example, like Uber is going to take over, like a lot of drivers are going to lose their jobs, factory workers. You know, even like many factories in China are going to move into robots to do that. So this is a possible solution.
Will people be interested in working when we say there is a basic income coming?
Of course. We see the study in like...
We feel that there is a complete change of people having the less like or interest to working. We see a lot of entrepreneurs.
Right.
When they want to initiate and start up their own thing, there are the folks who just want to, okay, let me just idle a bit and...
But that is, you know, that's true like anywhere. Like, you know, you even get like people, even if there is no basic income, people who are going to be lazy without ambition are going to exist. So,
how do you see this in other countries being accepted?
This has been like in the US, according to a poll run just last year, 2018, 48% of the people was found that they would support UBI. And in the EU, a research done 2 years ago showed that 68% of people in the EU would support a referendum. But it is true that in Switzerland, there was a referendum. The entire country went to vote for it, but it was voted down. Two interesting findings. One was that the young people in that country supported UBI. The other thing was, the main reason was why it was voted down was not because people were against UBI, but because the people thought that once it's implemented, people surrounding Switzerland, in countries around Switzerland, would flock in. So it was more of a fear of immigration rather than being against UBI.
So looking at now different aspects where people speak of corruption and different political turmoil that's happening in countries, how do you see this working in Sri Lanka?
In Sri Lanka, it might take some time. I'm not saying, but in India, it is like, you know, if Modi and Rahul Gandhi are this thing, then it's definitely not a fringe movement. It's a mainstream movement. So since both the BJP and the Congress support it, and in 50 years ago, if the Republicans and Democrats had come together on this, so it is quite mainstream.
How do you think Sri Lanka should start? Where should we start with this whole campaign or awareness?
Well, I have started the campaign. You know, I've partnered up with two activists from the US. One of them is Scott Santons, and he's a contributor to the World Economic Forum. We had a press release in the Daily FT and Daily News. And the other one is Dr. Jim Pugh. He is a former director and advisor to US President Barack Obama. So, and I've been giving talks on this. So let's see, it's just the beginning of a campaign.
So Talal, my final question to you before we wind up. How does it support my economy? My economy has a lot of other problems than giving people free income.
So when you have a basic income, a guaranteed income, people, you know, your income is guaranteed for today, tomorrow, day after. People are going to spend more. And when you spend more, everybody makes money. The restaurants make money. The clothing stores make money. Importers, exporters. So it's going to be a robust economy. And there's going to be a lot of money moving around, which means the government is also going to make money from taxes. So this will help in a lot of ways.
But where does the initial money come from?
Initial money, this is the question people ask. And this theory has been supported by talked about by most of the people in the tech industry. They say that, for example, let's take a corporation. So most of the corporate expenditures go to paying salaries to people. Like, let's take, for example, a factory. Like, for example, let's take a factory worker who's getting paid 50,000 rupees, and he works 8 hours a day. When the machines like take over, machines work 24 hours, and they are much more efficient, and you don't have to pay them salaries. So this means corporate profits are going to skyrocket. And when corporate profits go up, the government taxes are going to increase by a huge amount. So the theory supported by economics is that this money can be used for UBI. And the other thing is that in Sri Lanka, for example, when you own a car, you have to pay a license fee. So similarly, when a corporation gets machines, you can have a license fee for that, and this could very well fund UBI.
All right. Thank you very much, Director Hub Point, Universal Basic Income Campaign in Sri Lanka, Talal Rafi, joining us on our show to discuss about universal basic income. And if people want to get in touch,